was driving and got in a car accident and broke my spine and became paraplegic. The school seemed like it was after me, like the school system and stuff. I never ended up getting a job as a mechanic. I tried very hard, and wheelchair doesn't quite lend itself to that. I always came back. I always went broke and came back. So there was like high interest in the game.
Today, you're going to hear the story of one of the most inspirational human beings that I've ever had the honor and privilege of working with on basically a daily basis, David Singleton. He's a longtime poker player. He's been a CPG wolf for the past 3 years. His journey is unconventional, definitely different than a lot of folks who have been on the podcast. The amount of adversity and resilience that he shows on, again, a daily basis is absolutely remarkable. It blows me away. It never fails to surprise me. And I would say that he's the wolf who is the hero of all the wolves. I don't think there's a player in the program that the other players root for as strongly as Singleton. And today you're going to learn about his journey through the world of poker, how he started at 50 NL, where he's at now, and what it would mean for him to progress through his poker career. So without any further ado, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I bring to you one of my favorite human beings in all of poker, David Singleton. David Singleton, welcome to the podcast. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. We were just talking in the pre-interview and talking about the old Villager episodes, and it was pretty shocking to me that you never came on the Villager episodes. You're one of the OG CPG villagers who went through pre-flop boot camp and the courses very early on, just maybe a few months, 3 to 6 months after pre-flop boot camp launched. And, you know, you're somebody that's near and dear to my heart. You've been a long time wolf. And so, yeah, I'm just really excited to be able to better understand your story and share your story with the audience. And on that note, let's talk about your journey, just through life and what led you to poker. So where are you from? How old are you?
I'm 38. I live in Big Fork, Montana. Lived in Montana most of my life since kindergarten. Poker kind of began like watching it, like with my brother, I believe, like high stakes poker and the WSOP main event back in like shortly after the Moneymaker event. So like 2006 or 7 or so. I didn't really play right at first. I was pretty young. And then I eventually found a bar game. That's how poker's played here in Montana. It's just in local taverns and stuff. It was a 1-5 spread limit game. That's what got me in. And then Poker Stars, just making like $20 and $100 deposits and hunting that off quickly.
Tell me, let's go back, before you learned about poker in 2006 and growing up in Montana. What was that like? What were your interests?
I was an outdoors person, and I was a skateboarder. Like I skateboarded just about every day that it wasn't raining or snowing. And it's a little bit of a hellion.
What do you mean by that?
Did not like authority, I guess. For some, I was on the, like I was, like later in high school, I was getting myself into some drinking and stuff and partying, and not like crazy, but definitely was involved in that. And I don't know what the right word is. The school seemed like it was after me, like the school system and stuff.
Why?
We got a new principal. Like the principal was there, and like my first principal, he let us skateboard at lunch and stuff. Didn't really care. We got a new principal. They like banned skateboarding and stuff like that. Confiscated my skateboard. All things that are pretty egregious as like, a 16, 15, 14, 15, 16-year-old.
What was it about skateboarding that you love so much?
I think it was like individual sport. I like just do it anywhere. And also like a little bit of danger. Like I liked more dangerous things, snowboarding, skateboarding. It's a little bit of danger and risk taking.
Yeah. Seems like risk has kind of always been a part of you and in your life. Tell me about, what happened that led to, no more skateboarding around that same time period.
So with all that, getting my skateboard confiscated, that was junior year, like the beginning of junior year, 2003. Um, I dropped out of high school. 6 days later, took my GED, got my GED. Plan was to go to tech school and stuff. And a few months later, in May, April 30th of 2004, I was driving and got in a car accident and broke my spine and became paraplegic.
What happened in the car accident?
It was me, a male friend, and two female friends in the back. I was driving. I the lack of risk or high risk taking. I was driving 105 miles an hour down a highway. I blew a right front tire and hit a guardrail head on and flipped head over heels through like a town of 20 foot, like 20, 30 foot embankment.
Wow. It's shocking that you were able to live through that. Did everybody live through that?
Everybody walked out. When we landed, the door was pried open and my leg was hanging out of the door. We landed on our wheels, or like what were left of the wheels. And I went to the electrical cables of the telephone pole were arcing on the hood of the car, and we needed to get out of the vehicle quickly. And when I tried to move my legs out of the door, I could not. And so I realized that at that point that I'd at least broken my back and urged people to not move me or touch me.
What was life like in the kind of aftermath after that accident?
Like in the actual aftermath, like I was a 24-hour wait of me, like before I even had a surgery. But I can remember, like, even when doctors and nurses are walking in, I'm asking them how their day is and stuff. I don't know if that's just it not like fully realizing the effect of it, but it seemed like that all through my 5 weeks of inpatient therapy to like relearn how to dress and move and navigate the world in a wheelchair. But even now, I just kind of accepted it, which I don't know if that's like a denial thing or like, but it always just seemed like all right, this is life now, and was pretty upbeat always. But I think that's part of my personality is looking out the bright side of things.
So after, you are acclimating to new reality, what was your kind of aspirations and what happened, from there for the next, decade or so?
So the goal, like the reason for leaving school early, was to get into a tech school, an automotive tech school called Wyotech. That continued to be the plan. So instead of going and graduating that when I would have graduated high school, like to try to get early start, took me about a year, I think. I graduated Wyotech in 2006. So like a year and a half it took me to just follow that same plan, and then I did interviews and everything. I never ended up getting a job as a mechanic. I tried very hard, and like it's mostly trucks and stuff around here. The wheelchair doesn't quite lend itself to that, and there wasn't quite as many resources as there are now. I have friends that are mechanics in wheelchairs, but it didn't quite work out for me. And I have friends that are like in the X Games or like Para X Games or Paralympics, and like their life just revolves around managing like that kind of stuff. Like they're not really big careers, but it's very aspirational and like doing really big, awesome things. And I experimented with I didn't really go for like trying to compete in a sport, but just tried to live my life out in the wilderness and doing the things I wanted. Didn't really like that I didn't have a clear direction to sustain myself.
What do you mean by clear direction? A clear goal?
Clear goal of like way to like in that period of time, I'm living off of like a social security payment, which is minimal, like $1,000 or less a month. Some people make more, some people make less. It was clear that that was even 15 years ago or whatever was not going to be enough to be independent and live on my own.
I'm guessing at some point poker becomes
Correct.
a game that is in your crosshairs to where
Throughout this whole time I've been playing poker, like off and on, I would save like $2,000 or $3,000 and then lose $2,000 or $3,000 live. And then poker progressed in Montana like a little weird. Like it was 1-3 spread at first, or 1-5 spread. So like I only bet $1 to $5 on the street. That was in effect because we had state law of $300 capped pot. Not sure exactly when it happened, like sometime in the early 2000 teens. They raised it to what the Keno machines are around here, and that's an $800 capped pot, which allowed like 1-2 no limit to be played. I went through a couple $3,000 a few times, not really studying or anything, and carbon poker played like on there and stuff a few times. I played on Stars back when it was legal, a little bit, but in 2019, I decided that online poker looked really appealing because I figured out I couldn't work a full-time job, and so like can stay healthy. So I needed something that I can do from home, or that I can do from home and then sometimes out, like play. And like poker seemed like perfect. I really loved the game. I always came back. I always went broke and came back. So like there was like high interest in the game. And so I decided to take it seriously. That got me to 50-0 and winning most of the time in the 1-2 game. But I capped out at 50-0, and that's when I took pre-flop boot camp.
Probably somewhere around 2020, 2021.
Yes.
And
on my birthday. It was my birthday present to myself. The first day of boot camp was on my birthday.
Really?
Yes.
Really? I remember you were the first boot camper to get 100 on their final exam. It was your second try, I believe, right? That you got 100 on the final exam.
Yes.
Which was, that result was one of the things that, kind of led me to being like, oh, this guy's pretty sharp. And he seems to be a hard worker and seems to take poker seriously, and it made you stand out, right? And after pre-flop boot camp, you're in the village. At what point did you become a wolf? Did you buy the other courses first? It's been so long now that I can't really remember how it all came about.
I purchased all the courses. I was in a few study groups. I'm still meet with one of the pre-flop boot camp, like one of the guys I went to pre-flop boot camp with on a monthly basis. Bought all the courses. We studied those, did really well memorizing all those too. Like, seemed to be pretty good at remembering things. And then I was not one of the first rounds for Kurtz. I started Wolves in the end of January.
So you were really close to the first round, though. You were in there pretty much from the beginning, which has been now like 3 years, right? And maybe 4 years. I don't know. The time is going by too fast. In full disclosure, right? It hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. It hasn't been, the graph hasn't gone, through the roof. Tell me about, your success and or failures after you joined the Wolf program that kind of leads us to the present day.
We compare myself to then, there is like massive improvements. So results, like you said, aren't skyrocketing, but I started Wolves at 50-0. The first couple months were great, and then kind of flattened out. And then we went to a Cherokee event, and I did really well. That was awesome. Like I crushed a Cherokee event, playing like 2-5 and 1-3 and 2-5, a little bit of both, live poker. Then it was kind of flat. Like I was pretty flat and stayed at 200 and couldn't quite figure out what I was doing to not be able to like continually like build the bankroll. Like I was not ever like losing outright, but I just ran flat for like a long time. Then I started improving. We made a Vegas trip. That was pretty cool. A Wolf's Vegas trip. I got destroyed. Um, and that actually dropped me back down to 100 for a few months. Um, so I had a subsequent month after the Vegas trip where I just crashed at 200 too, and
Mm-hmm.
it just stacked. Um, Built my way back up from 100 to 200 to 500 just a few months ago, actually. Had two killer months at 500, and
Then you got killed.
then I got killed, and I'm running pretty flat again. So it's just, but like, if we compare that to the beginning of Wolves, like, there's massive. We compare, like, if my bankroll can support 500, and like, that was like, that was like a dream, right? So
And what is your win rate of 500 now?
one or two big ones per 100.
It is positive though, so we have that
Yes.
going for us. If I would have asked you that a few months ago, it would have been way higher. But
Yes.
the
Timing of the interview could have been.
could have been better. Could have been better. But this is, to me, I think it's a part of the journey, right? Like it's not just straight up. There's successes, there's failures, and I think it would be a disservice to the listener, to any potential Wolf candidate in the future to believe that, like, oh, if you just join a CFP program, if you buy a bunch of courses, it's just straight up. And that's just never the case. Like it is a mountain of hard work. It is a lot of mental strength, a lot of resilience that, I think you've been blessed with genetically. You just are a hard worker and a strong human being, and you don't really get deterred by failure, running into a brick wall. That mentality is something that a coach can work with that will eventually lead to success no matter what.
Yeah, I can remember like all the Wolves making it to 500 and I couldn't. And like I paid like a 200K sample, I think, like 200, 250K sample of 200 before even getting my shot at 500. And the goal is still like 2K, 1K, like 1K and 2K. And like there is no stop. Like it might take me longer or it might not. Like things change quickly in this game, but it also can take a long time for that switch, like for you to actually realize what's going on.
I think we're going to do a follow-up in a few months. I'm going to put some pressure to the situation, both myself, you, as well as, our Wolf community, to facilitate, support, help in this journey to crushing 500 and L. What will it mean to you if you begin to crush 500 and L consistently?
That's like life-changing for me. Like if I'm crushing, that's like gives me the goal, like the financial goal for sure, but like the like actual feeling of accomplishment of making it somewhere. But I can fully support myself. I can move to a place that supports live poker better. I can travel on the Wolf trips more, like, and then just a sense of pride that I've actually stuck through and put in the work to get here, to get there.
Well, we're going to make it happen.
Let's do it.
And
I'm ready.
Me too. Trust me. Me too, sir. Let's, I guess we'll call this interview, with that said, and work towards, helping you and supporting you and changing your life and crushing 500 and L. And in, let's call it 2 months time, let's circle back, look at your graph. Hopefully your win rate at 500 is much improved since then. I didn't actually realize that you had started Wolves at 50 and L, so you've kind of 10x your stake while you've been a part of the program, which is pretty cool. It's really easy to get stuck, I think, as a coach, in the gap and not the gains, where it's like, oh, why? How come we're struggling at 500 L? How come we've been flat for a month or so? And kind of lose sight of the fact that, like, oh, the gains are, you started at 50 and L a few years ago. Now you're playing 500 and L, and you have a positive win rate. It's not where we want it to be, but you're making progress. The progress is evident. And so, yeah, let's just keep going to work, get back after it, and we'll circle back and let you know how Singleton is doing over the next few months and keep everybody up to date on his story. Thanks for your time, man. Really appreciate it. And it's a pleasure and an honor to get to work with you and to be a mentor on your journey.
Thank you. I appreciate everything. Yeah.
Coach Brad approved. Are you a lone wolf searching for the ultimate pack? The CPG Wolf program is a close-knit brotherhood hell-bent on one thing only: chasing poker greatness. Powered by bleeding-edge wolf strats and led by Coach Brad and his lieutenants, CPG Wolves are systematically prepared for almost any spot they'll encounter on the green felt. If you want to plug into an elite team and have a step-by-step game plan to realize your full poker potential, you can apply at cpgwolves.com. Space is limited, and the pack is only as strong as its weakest member. So only the hungriest, grittiest, and most driven will be accepted into the program. Applications are open at cpgwolves.com.